In this video, we'll be replacing the rear brakes on a Honda Accord. And you start by removing the rear wheels. And then removing the two caliper bolts, which allows the caliper to be pulled free and the brake pads to be removed. Next, you'll remove the two mounting bolts for the caliper bracket. And then the bracket can be removed.
So what we would do is we'd take this out and want to clean up all this area really nicely, get all the rust out of there, and then throw some like anti-seize in between the new hardware and that bridge so that it promotes not rusting.
That's if you're using the caliper.
If we're reusing the caliper, which we're not. We're replacing these calipers. The other one has lots of issues.
Yep.
So, but yeah. Then you want to remove these pins and grease them up, fresh grease. Put them back in, make sure they slide nice and easy like that, and throw it all back together. Good.
Next, you can remove the rotor. And these rotors have two Phillips head set screws that need to be removed.
Have these clips. It's pretty much a shim for the caliper, but then it needs to be installed. And it actually looks like I'm missing the other one. Unless it's floated back here somewhere. It wasn't on before.
Next, you want to clean the mounting surface for the rotor. You can do this with die grinder or with sandpaper, wire brush.
Not too crazy on that because it's aluminum.
Sure.
So it's kind of it's more of a lighter, get all that corrosion off of there.
And then go ahead and put some anti-seize compound on that hub. You can install the new rotor, making sure you line up the set screw holes and then reinstall those Phillips head screws.
So we took it apart. These new bolts are 14 millimeters. So we're gonna dress the bridge up right now. So we'll do the same thing and protect from rust. We'll put these on, and then we're gonna make sure that that centerpiece is pushed all the way into the space, that gap in the bridge. Because I don't think new calipers come with enough grease, I like to get more silicone compound in the boots. I like to get all the air out of it, if there is, which I did see a little air escape. The rest of that's probably grease. There we go. All that air escaped. Good to go. So some people dress I don't, because it collects dust, and that's how things start rusting. One of the shims is just going to be able to fit really nicely. I'll just put it right back where it was in the top. This one I'll probably have to slide it in as the bolt's coming through, kind of. But see how well it goes.
Mhm.
At this point, you can go ahead and tighten the caliper mounting bracket. Going to tighten those 2 bolts to 80 foot-pounds.
So we have to get the parking brake cable off as well as the brake hose. So there's just a 12 millimeter on the backside that holds the parking brake in.
Uh-huh.
So we're gonna try to do that. But again, if this is so rusted on the old setup that you can't get it off, or for whatever reason you're afraid of it breaking, you can always just do these 2 bolts and swap over the bracket.
Finish switching over that parking brake cable to the new caliper.
Yep. Clamp off the brake hose so when we take this off, it doesn't leak.
Yep.
And then you want to change the brake hose next.
Your wear indicator always goes on the bottom inside, so that when the rotor turns this way, it pushes it into the pad instead of peeling it out. If it were facing this way, it would get peeled out. So we always want to put it in on the back side, facing down. It should slide in really nice like that. And these get mounted so it's facing inboard on itself. You can see they actually do spring the pads out, which is good. You want to see that.
Now at this point, we can install the new caliper, the parking brake cable, we'll put that caliper in place.
All right, so now we have those. We're going to want to squeeze it together to get the caliper over.
And we will torque those 2 bolts to 10 foot-pounds.
So a walker on one side, another walker on the other.
Then you want to tighten that brake hose banjo bolt. And then next we will need to bleed the brakes.
So I can still kind of see air coming out. So I'm going to wait till it's pretty much just dripping.
Oh, yeah, because it's got bubbles right now. Yep. So gravity bleed, wait for the bubbles to stop.
Yep.
Just pure liquid coming out. Then you tighten back up at that point?
Yep. It just makes it a lot easier. That way I don't have to have somebody in the car for
Yeah.
multiple presses of the
Right.
pedal.
Right.
Sometimes I'll close the bleeder to get all that air to surface to the top of that caliper. And then open it up again. A lot of times you get air coming out a little faster.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to close it up. That should be enough. Okay, up, down, Up, down. Still air. Up, down. That was a clean stream. We'll go one more time. Up, down. No air. Nice clean stream. That's completely black.
You want to clean off any excess brake fluid from the bleeding process. And repeat all these steps on the other side of the vehicle. And then finally you want to top off the brake fluid to the fill line. Install the rear wheel. And snug those lug nuts up, but don't fully tighten them. Then once the vehicle's back on the ground, you'll want to torque those lug nuts to 90 foot-pounds. And then you can go take this Honda for a drive.